good afternoon, most likely good evening. We already know it. Look, if you've been here before, you already know. I was supposed to be uploaded a long time ago, but I told you. See, that's why I ain't put it. That's why I ain't put a time on it. You know, I know you missed me when I was gone. You miss me a little when I'm gone. Man, shut up. No, you didn't. Tell me, play over me, man. Let's go ahead and get it started.
So now you got Jake Paul. It says Jake Paul disrespects the Mexican community as he trolls Canelo.
I'm gonna keep it real. Even with the troll, I don't even see it happening. But then again, with that payday, he might. I mean, these days, people just do whatever for the payday. They gonna get their bread. So, well, it might happen. Can't say never. Who would ever expected that goofy fight between him and Mike Tyson to happen?
Canelo, I'm coming, my puta.
That's crazy. He forgot the little gloves on the little troll dog. All right, the poll's up. What y'all say? Y'all think he gonna take the fight or nah? What y'all think?
Guess he trying some way. How come everybody's scared to do this when it comes to blacks?
How did black people even become a part of the conversation? Just minding their own business, and then all of a sudden you want to just drop one out.
Like, where's the fried chicken? Where's the watermelon?
Right, you show how old you are. That ain't even the real troll no more. Like, if you gonna troll somebody of today, it gotta be something with some long dreads. You gotta have like a big plastic gun or something. It gotta be something related to today, man. Ain't nobody chicken and watermelon. What is this? The 80s, 90s? Come on, bro.
Where's the grape soda? It's like,
you see what I'm saying? Just corny, bro. It's just corny. It ain't even funny. Will nobody even be offended? They just be like, really? Yeah, that was real innovative, real creative. Not like we've heard this joke for the past 100 years. I'm just saying, come on now, new material. Hey, look, he just really cracking himself up like he did something. That's crazy. And see, he's still going. Trust, bro, it was not that funny. And you wonder why you don't be getting donations. Like, bro, come on, man.
Oh, God.
You done? You done? Can we move forward? Or are we still doing this longer? I'll let this play out. Just to see how long it would stretch.
Like, when is somebody gonna get balls enough to do that?
And see, this is why you need to leave your echo chamber. There's plenty of them. You got battle rappers and all kinds of people. Yeah, but they do relevant jokes. They do funny ones. They'll make jokes about them being in college and them being on the streets. There's a lot of updated ways to do it and actual ways to clown, but watermelon chicken and grape soda, man, it's played out, man. It's played out. Like, he won't even get you canceled. People won't even come out and try to, okay, I ain't gonna say everybody, but a large majority of black people in real life won't even pay you no mind. They would literally just look at it like, oh, okay. Wow, funny. That's it. That's enough. We gotta move forward.
I want to see somebody. That's the thing. Like, that's what's whack about society. Like, you could like clown any other ethnicity, but when it comes to blacks, like, you can't clown.
How so? And people clown black people all the time. It's called the news. Come on now. They clown people in interviews. They literally got entire cop interrogations where they're clowning. They when they're arresting people, they clowning. When they pull people over, they clowning. They clowning on the news. People clowning all through Twitter, all on TV. Like, where are you at? Where is it that people are just getting canceled left and right? Now, if you have certain positions in certain workplaces and you say certain things out of pocket, you can get fired if you say that about anybody. So I don't even know where this notion came from. Like, you won't be canceled or fired for talking crazy when you can adversely affect your place of employment. Yeah, that's different. And even on top of that, black people go around clowning themselves. So, how much more clowning can you do when we got a whole culture of clowns? How can you clown a clown when the clowns are already clowning? It's like a double clown, a double whammy clown, triple clown, whatever, man. It's like looking at the clown in the mirror and seeing a bunch of reflections of a clown. It's just, It's enough clowning. We don't need no more. We clown ourselves enough. Like, let's be very clear. Hell, I'm clowning you right now.
Like, you can't just come on here with like big ass drums, with big ass fried drumsticks, grape sodas, and watermelon, and like that. Man, that should be funny as hell. It sucks. You just like can't do it.
No, you can do it. You just can't be in a professional environment or represent certain companies and do it. There's a difference. You have to work for yourself. Now, there are protected groups, so you can't say nothing about them at all, and we know who those are. So what do you get off with saying that we are the ones who can't be made fun of or said nothing about? Now, when you're going out there just blatantly doing disrespectful things, that's something different from actually clowning and being funny. It's not about the joke, it's about how you tell the joke. It doesn't even matter if you're a stand-up comedian. Even then, it ain't about the joke. It's how you tell the joke. It's the delivery of the joke. How did you present the joke? You know what I'm saying? How did you come out and do it? Now, yes, people are more sensitive now, but that doesn't change the fact that if it ain't funny, it just ain't funny. And if it's not, more times than not, it could come with consequences, unfortunately, but it is what it is. This is not limited to black. People have been canceled for all races.
Or it's going to be a huge problem. Like if he was just dancing with 2 drumsticks, like crip walking or something like that, with watermelons in the background, grape sodas.
You want to know a real depiction of clowning? Family Guy, South Park, something that's extremely relatable. That's what makes it funny. Like I'm sitting there telling you, like what you think is funny just ain't funny to the general public. I mean, how many black people you see sitting around drinking grape soda, eating watermelon and chicken? Yeah, they eat chicken, but hell, most black people ain't even eating fruit like that. Like on a large scale, they really not eating fruit like that. So it's not even funny. It's like, wow. I mean, what about it? Like, how many black people just be sitting around eating watermelon? That's not typical.
It's like an unwritten rule or something in America.
No, it's just a lot of times when people make jokes like that, it's with ill intent or malicious intent, and more times than not, it's not a joke. That's why it's considered hate. Because when people truly do make jokes, nobody bats an eye. People laugh and it's funny. But when you're saying certain things, you're getting aggressive and you're talking about hanging and all of this other stuff, that's not funny, bro. Like, there's nothing funny about that. I know you could be like, oh, I didn't mean the extremes. Well, with you, hey, everything's extreme. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. Now, if you're over here just making jokes about what you see or what people are doing, it is what it is. No black person agrees with somebody getting canceled making a joke, especially if it's a joke. But when you blatantly do stuff like, say you paint your whole face black and color your lips red and stuff like that, when you're doing minstrel show stuff, that's rooted in hatred. You could be like a joke, but that was a hatred of a people masked behind a quote unquote joke. But there was violence that followed that. So that's the differences. But man, Robert Downey Jr. went full blown blackface with an afro, like a mini fro and everything, and changed his voice. Nobody had a problem with it because it was funny. People make Joe Biden literally just came out here and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. What kind of backlash did he face for that? You know what I'm saying? Was he canceled? Nah, he became president. Okay, so I don't want to hear nothing about, oh well, if you make a joke, nah, miss me with that, even when it's inappropriate. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter what race of person it is. You do have to watch what you say to an extent, because some things are so out of pocket that if you say them, yeah, bro, let's just say you had to be self-employed. Like when you say certain things, you can't work for somebody because they don't want to be attached to that. They ain't trying to mess up their bag behind your bad jokes.
What is 1,000,000 rubles? Or rubles, or whatever the fuck.
Why don't you look it up on one of your 29 tabs? Let's go ahead and move forward.
I'm in the spot.
Now, as a side note, what y'all know about that premium ROG console? No, but on the real though, for real, I didn't even know this was a thing until I walked into Best Buy and was like, what in the hell is this? I thought, like, okay, for real, if this didn't come out before LTG, they dropped the ultimate ROG handheld. Yeah, it's about $700. So I decided to look it up and see how this thing plays. So here's a little bit of feedback from it. Am I gonna get it? Nah, fool. I can't rock with that. I can't walk around with nothing that expensive and be playing with it and it's not stationary. Pause. But let's go ahead and check out some of that feedback on it. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, well, your phone costs about that much. Hey, look, the difference between that and a phone, the phone can fit in your hand. It got a case. This is a brick, like, think of the Switch, but like a sturdy ass Switch. That's what it feels like. If you don't, I'm gonna just put it like this. Seeing this on video doesn't do it justice on what it looked like in real life. Like this joint looked like, oh, for real, sturdy ass handheld.
The all-new Asus ROG Ally X.
Nah, bro, quit playing. Say it right. The ROG Ally. Quit playing.
What I've got here is a production unit of the Ally X, and you may have seen me create a couple videos, in my opinion, do work out better than the original ROG Ally. And one thing that kind of annoyed me about the original was hitting those M keys around back because they...
See, like in this video, this looks little. This console is huge. It is not small at all, dude. Trust me when I tell you, when you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, okay. The video doesn't do it justice, so the price point, it makes sense.
Of the new ROG Ally X, for the APU, we're still using that AMD Ryzen. Really awesome. Again, we can favorite these. We've also got our platforms. So our Xbox games, Steam, Xbox Cloud Gaming, EA, Ubisoft.
That Ubisoft ain't gonna be there for long. They better hope that next game go hard because it's a wrap if it don't.
GOG. Basically, once we hit one of these, it's gonna open up a web browser so we can easily download that application. Moving over to our settings, under General, Personalization. Now it looks like we're gonna have a launch animation that we can change here. Right now there's only one. This is something I could definitely get used to, but it's not my favorite D-pad in the world. Personally, I still consider...
Still, the video don't really show how big that console really is. And I know I'm emphasizing it because I've seen it before. I didn't know it's called the ROG. That's what made me make a video about it because of what it was called, because I was like, that's hilarious. But when I actually saw it in the store, I was like, what the hell is this? Big ass handheld. That's how big it is. I know you probably like, that doesn't really give me a size depiction. Look, when you see it, it'll make sense. All right. This is predominantly a gaming channel, and I just wanted to point it out. That's all. That's it. Now, time for our next segment. I ain't even gonna say that joint was fire, you know what I mean? That made me want to go ahead and drop a mixtape. But yeah, if you want to check more out from him, the handle is there. If that is their official handle, I don't know. That's where I got it from. But let's go ahead and get this next one started.
More options rather than just taking things away from them. And I think that's what really makes the biggest difference here, because the players have a choice. Calico's too strong, leave it at home.
Yep.
Mounting cheapens combat, don't mount while you're in combat.
Yep.
Facts. It's freedom of choice. But the accessibility is there if people do want to play it that way. And to kind of give a rundown about the conversation, it's about, there were some complaints about Monster Hunter being too easy and things like that as far as the wound system and the way that it's set up. But basically what they're talking about is, if you want to be a glutton for virtual punishment, the option is there. You don't have to use the easier tools. You could use them if you want to use them. But you're not building the game around sweats, because sweats don't sell. They don't sell the game, if that makes sense.
The wound system's overpowered, but, well, yes.
And it's also, keep in mind that speedrunners and people that are really good at the game aren't utilizing these tools. So if you want a bigger challenge and you want a more comprehensive challenge, then you can adjust that yourself.
Exactly. I completely agree with this. So as far as like when I was playing Lords of the Fallen, I was running around with 2 buckets. I could have used the sword. I could have used the shield. I could have got a whole lot further, a whole lot faster. But instead, I was running around hitting people with buckets because it was more fun to me. Does that mean people have to run around and play the game with buckets? No, it was optional. If I choose to play like an asshat, that's on me. If I choose to put it on expert mode and then it's Super Sweat City, that's on me. But as far as the base game, nobody's turning on the game to be the ultimate sweat. They're playing for an experience. So a lot of people will sit there and complain about this being too easy or whatever. Then if there's a hardest mode, make a mode for that. Just have a mode for that. If the items are too easy, don't run around with that. Like TBH would say, the Mickey build. Don't run around with a Mickey build. You want cred, you gonna have to play it a certain way. Does that mean you have to play it that way? Not at all. Not at all.
Just don't use the tools given to you is fucking retarded. Well, no, it's really not. I mean, I think that if you want to, and also it's not efficient. Like, it's not efficient to get on your mount and like ride away from the monster just to get a heal. Like, you don't want to do that.
It does add a lot more flexibility and makes combat a heck of a lot more dynamic and much more forgiving in a lot of cases. When you see some of these veteran players using it, they look like Virgil from Devil May Cry 5. That has to feel good.
It does.
You can't tell me that doesn't feel good. They just give you more tools, and it's your choice to engage with. And I think that's the essence of how some of these long-standing franchises can continue to find success. More tools, less friction. Let the players define their experience.
Yes, exactly. Now, again, these are the only times that I have an argument with this is games that are competitive. When they're competitive, you're specifically playing because you're a virtual glutton of punishment. Now, do I disagree with modern controls and all of that and making it easier for people to engage the game? Of course not. Not at all. But in a professional expert setting, yes. As far as any other game, Ninja Gaiden, whatever game you want to have those settings in to where they're playing to have fun, cool, that'll work. But I vehemently disagree with you going, because you got to understand, when you're saying I want to play pro or I want to play ranked or I want to play competitively, you have to understand what you're saying. You're saying that I believe I'm so good that I can climb the ranks and be the best at the game. And if you're taking shortcuts to, you know, feel good about how you're playing the game, then you shouldn't be amongst the top of the ranks. You get what I'm saying? And if you do have a ranking system, then you can rank amongst the fun players, the players who prefer to play modern. If they like to do modern, you need to have a tier ranking system for modern, and you need to have a tier ranking system for the other players, the players who use the classic modes, because they do need to be separated. And then this is where the line will get drawn. If you wind up having more money and funding behind that modern, and the classic is not, because we could draw the line right down the middle. If the modern side draws more funding and more money and more people are entered into it, unfortunately, you know what's going to happen to the classic. And that's where the line in the sand goes. Because if it happens that way, well, unfortunately, they cannot go bankrupt trying to please the sweats. And I get it. People got bills to pay. People are not sitting around to make video games that people are not playing. Nobody's trying to drop the hardest mixtape in their homeboys' opinion. That's not what they're wanting to do. Hey man, this is the hardest album of all time between me and my 1,000 fans. No, they trying to sell 100,000 copies. And if they got to meet in the middle to do what they got to do for them ER reports and them earnings reports. Oh yeah, by the way, that's where I've been. NVIDIA had a drop, dude. I had to get to that money. I had to get that bread up because I had to get NVIDIA when it came down to 104. So that's where I've been absent. I've been trying to get my bread up to buy more shares of NVIDIA because they beat their last earnings report and they got down to 104. It may drop more to like 80, 90 or whatever, but I'll tell you right now, this AI generator, it ain't going nowhere. These chips, it ain't going nowhere. But enough of that. Let's get back to boy, when they start getting on that business, you know what I'm saying? my fault for everybody else. My bad. Oh yeah, Nintendo too. Don't sleep on Nintendo because that Switch 2 about to drop, and they $17. They then came down $2. They got $2 discount. You know what I mean? They're not very volatile. But this is not investment advice. These are things that I've bought. So I'm not gonna tell you getting stuff that I ain't got. You know, that's what I got. I'm done with that. All right, we're done with the conversation. Let's go ahead and get back where we left off.
Never forget what you are. Those are the keys here. You know, when I look at a lot of other franchises...
Yeah, summoning is a great example, right? A lot of people in Elden Ring don't use summons because they feel like it cheapens the fight. So it's like, if you feel like something cheapens the fight, just don't use it. And I think that like in Elden Ring, there's like 50 examples of that, of things that make it way easier that a lot of players choose not to use.
Exactly. And that's why there's an achievement point system. That's literally why they have those 0.06% achieved achievements. That's why they have it that way. Because I'm sure there's achievements in there that says no summons used, or no such and such weapon, or only the most base level whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they have achievements for that. So if you want those accolades, those trophies, or those gamer score points are there. That's what those are there for. Like, especially like one of the biggest examples of this is Dishonored. That's one of the hardest games to go through and not murk anybody. They give you all these creative tools to murk people with. And one of the achievements is to take nobody's life the whole game. You know how you can literally have people get eaten alive by rats. And you cannot use anything. You can make them accidentally hurt each other, but if you hit anybody, it's a good chance you can wipe them out. And the achievement is taking no lives. You see what I'm saying?
The outsider himself has these 5 attributes.
Like mimic tiers, summons, you know, like different types of like really big buffs, etc. Yeah, so it's quite common.
That's not working.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm sure I'm going to have some people disagree with me because I know that veterans of any franchise are going to have their own shade of criticism. It's not uncommon for us players to want to harken back to the old days.
And that's one thing where I give that criticism as well. That's a huge conversation in the space where people are always like, well, the game was like this and why ain't they playing like that? It was like, well, they're trying to do better than they did last time. They're trying to appeal to more people than they did last time because who they appealed to, it wasn't enough.
Don't recite to me the ancient texts. I was there when they were written, but the heart of Monster Hunter is very much still intact. The same cannot be said for a lot of other games in this industry. Too many studios don't just change, they lose their identity entirely, warping their...
Well, the problem with Monster Hunter's combat originally is that it was really punishing and it felt bad to play if you were bad at it. Like, basically, the game felt bad to play, and it felt good to play if you were good at it, but bad to play if you were bad at it. Now, I feel like the game feels good to play if you're bad at it, and better to play if you're good at it.
Which is a much better selling point. And in my opinion, that's a huge upgrade. Because nobody wants to play it. Like, again, not everybody is a glutton for virtual punishment. And what's an accomplishment to you is not going to be an accomplishment to 90% of people. So again, their objective is to not make a game around you 10 to 15 percenters. I'm a part of the 10 to 15%, so I'm talking about myself too. I'm not excluded from this. And I would never expect them to make a game solely for somebody like me. It's not going to sell. It's going to be about 12 to 15 people playing it who go hard at it. And then everybody don't like to watch it, but that ain't going to translate to them staying open. The studio will get closed down.
Skill issue? Well, it is a skill issue, right? That's the thing. But like, if you insult the player's skill and you make the player not enjoy playing the game, then they're not going to play the game.
That's excellent. Because I think people get it confused. They don't understand how business work. F you, dude, get good. Oh, word? Oh, okay. Well, I'll just play something else. That's what's going to happen. No, you need to get good at this game. No, I'm not. Grand Theft Auto is about to come out, yada, yada. All these other games are coming out. I'm playing those. Monster Hunter's coming out. I'm playing those. Nobody's going to sit here and have you tell them they suck at the game and get good. They're just going to stop playing it and move on.
So, like, really, at the end of the day, a skill issue is secondary to enjoying the game. And if you're enjoying the game, that's what really matters.
See, in my opinion, this was Marvel Rivals' biggest mistake. They got greedy trying to force engagement. People loved the game so much, they liked the game so much, it would not have mattered if they lost or won because the way the game is set up, it's a fun game. But when you're rigging things to make people lose a certain amount of times, to make them win a certain amount of times, to any kind of background circumstances that's not natural, you're going to ruin your game. They had a perfect opportunity to just make it correctly, let the leveling up be natural, and everything would have fell into place. It's not a game that's hard to get into or hard to play. So therefore, even the bottom level people, they're going to be winning and losing on and off because if sorry people are playing against sorry people, that's imminent. But they're not going to get steamrolled. Even if the game is close, they're not going to get steamrolled to the point to where, like, you know what, I don't want to play the game no more. They may lose barely, but they'll still want to play it because it was fun. And my overall point, and obviously, you know, teammates can also run the game for you to AFK, standing in spawn, being silly. But my whole point of that was it's about the experience of the game and people having fun playing it. If they're having fun, even if they're not winning, they'll still be on it regardless.
So casualized? Well, it's not casualized. I don't think that's an accurate way of explaining it.
This whole casualized thing, y'all gotta stop that. Y'all gotta grow up. You really gotta grow up, because a lot of you who are saying that, there are plenty of games. There are plenty of games. I mean, there was a skateboarding game that I played. If I have to choose between that skateboarding game and Tony Hawk, I'm choosing Tony Hawk. But I'm not trying to sit here and do chemistry, a science project, learn how to build a house and all of that to do a damn skateboarding trick. When you jump on that thing, you get pause. When you jump on your skateboard on that game, it was like back joystick, up joystick, and then when you do the trick, it was like half circle, XBA, jump. I'm like, what the hell? So you gotta half back, half up, do all that? No, bro, no. People are gonna play Tony Hawk. A for jump, square or X to do the little kickflip, bro. Ain't nobody trying to do all that, man. And yes, this is a hardcore gaming channel. I do not designate the way that I play games to other people, okay? Only in a competitive setting. But on a normal standpoint, I believe in video games are supposed to be fun, all right? They're supposed to be, you turn it on, you know, you might have about 30 minutes to an hour worth of learning. That should be all that it takes. If you stuck on a tutorial for 3 hours just trying to get to if you can't do, like how can I put this? Like seafood, for example. There's a drastic difference between I can do the move versus I forgot how many moves I had. So it's not the fact that they're hard to do, it's the fact that I forgot to use it. That's a drastic difference. Does that make sense? And overall, excessive difficulty does not make a better game.
Franchises into something almost unrecognizable, either through trend chasing, misguided ideology, or a growing obsession with dictating how players experience games. Look at Diablo, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, Dragon Age, Battlefield. These aren't franchises that evolve.
Yeah, especially after playing Inquisition, I was good on that. When I saw what they did with that latest Dragon Age, because whenever I see nonsense in games like that, you're trying to sell me a narrative more than you're trying to sell a good game. That's my point. And I know people be like, you didn't, I don't care. I don't. If the selling point of your game is not about the gameplay in your game and it's about the narrative you put in your game, I'm not interested. I've been around a long time, and every time I've seen it, when it's always been hardcore narrative, I'm like, it's bad. It's bad more times than not. As a matter of fact, the DMC one, the Devil May Cry that came out that people really wasn't a fan of, when they were trying to push those politics out and say, oh wait, this is black hair Dante, you just gonna suck it up and take it. And it's like, nah, you probably shouldn't have did that, because the fan base said no. That wasn't even a bad game. That controversy did hurt that game, but in general, that was a really good game, and it was a heavily narrative media-based game. The media was the enemy. Ironically, out of all what's ironic is the plot in that game was how the media was your enemy. But the fact of how they were attacking and not, instead of just saying, oh, it's just something new, you hit back, trying to be smart about when you change your design, telling you, oh, this is what you just gonna get, don't worry about it, versus trying to talk to them and trying not to be so focused on being standoffish. It hurt your game. You see what I'm saying? So that's an example of a good game that got hurt by its narrative versus a game that wound up being bad and only being based on its narrative that nobody cares about, that nobody wants to talk about, that nobody even likes or can relate to on a large scale. And I want to emphasize this. If you are 5 to 10%, you are not the majority. You're not the majority, okay? You are 5 to 10%, which means that if there is 100,000 people, we do not need to cater to 5,000, because there's 95,000 other people who will be inconvenienced due to you. Even if it's 10%, it's 10,000 versus the 90. No, we don't need to cater to you. No, shut up. Go sit down somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
And they want to fix the damage. They say the same thing. We're going back to our roots. But the problem is they don't even know what that means anymore. They've spent so much time stripping away what's unique about their games from their foundation that they have nothing to go back to.
And there's a lot of games that do that. For example, I'm gonna give you a prime example of that. Call of Duty. Whenever Titanfall was big, Call of Duty started wanting to do zip lines and copying Titanfall. People don't play Call of Duty to zip line and do all that. They want to sit here and no scope and headshot like online gamer.
Headshot, you just got owned.
That's what they play it for. They're not playing for all that. If they wanted to be jumping off sky rises and jumping in robots, they play Titanfall, right? In the other games, for example, we have like Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat. And Tekken, essentially they pretty much stayed very true to the core of what they were. Of course they did change some things, of course they did modify some things, but overall a lot of what they've done, in my opinion, is an improvement. I'm not going to speak on Mortal Kombat though, because Mortal Kombat is kind of, it's on the iffy side, so I'm gonna leave that one alone. All right, but as far as Tekken and Street Fighter, everything that they've done, it has improved it in a way to where it appeals to more people, but it did not take away what the game was. Like when you're playing it, you know what you're playing. Like it's non-mistakable. Like you can literally take the character sprites off and be playing it and be like, oh yeah, this feel like Street Fighter, or oh, this feel like Tekken. Off rip, off top, SNK, Fatal Fury. Oh, this feel like King of Fighters. And nah, that ain't Balrog, this is Michael Max, right? Michael Max. Oh, this, you know what you playing. You get what I'm saying? But on a lot of these other games, if you took the sprites off, you wouldn't even know what the hell you was playing.
And honestly, I think that Diablo is probably the best example of this, because not only is Diablo what actually started this channel, but it's a franchise that I grew up on. Diablo 2 wasn't just a great game, it was a definitive game. It had some of the hardest hitting narratives and cutscenes in the industry, insane build diversity, and challenging, rewarding gameplay that gave players full control over their experience. Diablo 3, by comparison, was practically Gauntlet Arcade, and while I love Gauntlet, that's not what Diablo was supposed to be.
Exactly. If you remove the sprites, he's gonna be like, I'm playing Gauntlet. That's a no-no. That means you've left your form so much that it's non-distinguishable. You can't distinguish what that game is anymore. Any game that has this character to it, if you can't remove the characters from it and still know what you're playing, you've lost your form. You lost your way.
Like, sure, Diablo 3 sold well, so did Diablo 4, but when you actually look at how the fans dead silent on the sales of their latest expansion, that's not normal. Historically,
I think everybody knows why. Everybody knows why. In a way, I feel bad, but I really kind of don't. Yeah. Nice sub. Yeah, why? Because I think the game hasn't sold as many copies. And I don't think it's as popular as it used to be.
I just think the reality is things work in cycles. You know, things run their course. Things are not meant to be hot forever. You know, what's hot last year is not going to be hot next year, and the year after that, or vice versa. And then in 5 to 6 years, what was hot 5 years ago will be hot again. Things move in cycles. Nothing's supposed to be hot that whole time. Because if it is, like Fortnite and those few games, we've seen what happened to the gaming industry. It's very huge consequences to games maintaining and keeping a large majority player base. When that happens, a lot of other places, a lot of other games lose funding. And the thing is you're not supposed to spend an insane amount on the game and think that you want people to stay on it for the next 10 years. It's not what it's made for. You know, it's for a good experience. You know, spend a decent amount of money. You know, don't go crazy. I don't want to say $1 million. Like $1 million is not a lot of money, but I'm just saying, as far as game development, you know, 1 to 10 million, do your thing, make a really good game and see how it goes, versus I'm gonna keep making this same game that doesn't correspond with the last one, but I want to milk the title, so now I'm gonna just name it this, even though this game is not that game. Does that make sense? So honestly and truly, a lot of the huge world need to be scrapped. It doesn't need to be that big. 100+ hours of fetch quests need to be scrapped. There's no need to stretch it. It's over with. You know what I'm saying? It's just as bad as how 90s songs were. Bro, the song was over at 2 minutes and 45 seconds, 3 minutes. This joint is 5 minutes. Stop stretching it. It's over with. We got it. We get the point. You know what I mean? All right, we can end it now. You're just saying the same thing 9 times. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out some of the throwback music. Like, I mean, really listen to the throwback music and you'll get what I'm talking about. That's how games feel. And sometimes short and sweet, a much more rich experience with a lot less time and a lot less wasted time. That's how you make a good product. Now, I may not know about making games, but I know about good products. And just to give you an example of a game like that, Persona Royal. I beat that game, I think 3 or 4 times. 3 to 4 times, because the way that they have it set up, it's not a huge game. It don't have to take that long. You could breeze through it if you wanted to. You can do the main missions if you wanted to, but you got all the side missions, relationship building and all that is optional, you know, but you can run the days if you don't want to do it. That's how you make a good game. Make it optional. And to expand on what I mean, basically a game not being stretched out just to be stretched out. Basically it's long for a reason if it is long. Because sometimes they just put in fillers and a bunch of fetch quests to extend the game when the game is already over. You know, you're trying to manufacture additional times. Like, dude, just make it 10 hours. Just make it a good 10 hours. There's no need for any of that unnecessary forced time onto the game. That's what I'm referring to.
That's really the reason. I just don't think so. It seems like a lot of people have moved past playing the game, etc. And so, like, yeah, I don't think people really care. Like, the game kind of lost a lot of its, like, kind of its edge.
Constantly move away from what made your game unique.
I think PoE's way better, but
and
that's not
we've seen
it.
this pattern echo across the industry itself.
Well, that's surely interesting. But if you kicked it with your boy this long, I appreciate you hanging with me. Links in the description below like always. And in the meanwhile, I'm out. Have a good one. All right, let's see what's going on up in here. What you got for me? All right, transmute something into something else. Okay, and it's probably gonna go hard when I do this. All right, what we gonna do? Let me see. Let's do the thing, but we gotta give me something good for that, right? I know it gotta give me something good. All right, so what did it do? What the hell? Man, nah, bro, man. Damn.